This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Lee Sterling continues in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we'll have the preview of the Memphis Tigers. They're not going to the Pac-12 or the Big 12. They're staying put in the American forever, I think. So we're going to talk about Memphis coming up in just a little bit, and also we'll recap last night, another winning night right here on the show. But let's begin with our first pick of the day.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
And we'll begin, Lee, in Major League Baseball, a strikeout prop. The Padres, after losing a couple games to the Marlins, they continue this long road trip after the All-Star break, heading to St. Louis. The Cardinals, disastrous last few games with the Rockies. Now headed back to Busch Stadium. Padres, Cardinals tonight. Yu Darvish on the mound. What do you like?
So, Yu Darvish, normally one of the big strikeout pitchers. 38 now. Since he's come back, this will be his fourth start. Has not struck out more than 5 batters. And now he's got to travel to St. Louis. And what are the conditions? In St. Louis, 95 and the wind blowing out. I think that he's not ready for this yet. I think he's going to pitch 4, maybe 5 innings again. Strikeout total is 4.5 here. I don't think he's back yet. So we're going to go under 4.5 on Yu Darvish. Total strikeouts here. Let's start off Thursday. Let's continue rolling here. Hidden gem.
And we'll see if that keeps up. And yeah, Yu Darvish is not the same pitcher he was of years ago. And San Diego, big series against St. Louis, starting a 4-game set tonight as we look back at what unfolded last night, Lee. And another winning night here on the program. You won your baseball plays. Chris Bassett went over his strikeout prop. We'll start with that as the Blue Jays knocked off the Yankees in Toronto.
Started slow, and I think it was the 3rd or 4th inning, struck out all 3 batters. When he gets on a roll, he is one of the better pitchers out there, believe it or not. Like I said, always gets up for the Yankees, and they knocked off the Bronx Bombers, and they're now sitting in first place. Nice, healthy lead, 60-42. If they only played the Bronx Bombers 162 games, they'd have it locked up.
Yeah, they'd be totally fine, and they go to Detroit. We'll talk about that game coming up in just a little bit. Also, the Guardians, they quietly caught fire as they knock off the Orioles last night, and you hit on Cleveland last night.
Yeah, this is a team that's under the radar, young pitcher from the University of Miami, did his job, held their opponent in check, and then they finally got the run that they needed late to win that one. So when you're winning, you win the close ones. When you're losing, you lose these close ones, bad things, bad breaks go against you. And that's why we're a team, Kevin. We're out to beat the books together, and we're going to do it in the long run. Already 7-3 this week.
Yeah, Slade Ciccone, a big start for him last night. He continues as part of that Cleveland rotation. And as far as the loser, I can say this openly to you, Lee, here on the air, that I gave out the pick last night for Atlanta Phoenix, the under in the first quarter. And I did mention Atlanta, they're the best first quarter team in the league, but yet I kind of stepped over that and ended up taking the total, which didn't look good early. And then in the final 2 minutes, it kind of caught up. I thought we had a shot there, but ended up barely going over the total. Atlanta won the game going away. Phoenix had its starters back, and they were behind basically the whole game. So that one hurt a little bit just because I had given out, or at least said, Atlanta is the best first quarter team, and they look good there, but unfortunately they did hit their shots again on the back-to-back, and that was their one loser.
Yep, you've been going with some trends, and when you're riding high, those trends, you're seeing things like you got bug eyes, you're ready to go. So I think you're gonna straighten it out and get back on track tonight. Now, if you don't, Kevin, we ever lose 3 in a row, we're going to have to make this rule here for our listeners. Then we're going to have to go with another sport. So you lose this game here tonight, your WNBA play, you got to go with college football, the NFL tomorrow.
Or KBO. We'll find something else to take.
Please, Kevin. No.
Now, wanted to bring this up. You are in Charlotte, North Carolina. You have been at the media days for the ACC and for the American Conference. We're going to talk about Memphis in a little bit. Your thoughts on their win total, but how have things been there in Charlotte?
Well, actually, I'm a little surprised. I've been to SEC media days many times. First time that I'm here at the ACC media days, and it's rocking. And today is going to be incredible because you got all the teams that are close. You got Duke, NC State, and North Carolina with Bill Belichick, and we'll find out if Jordan Hudson shows up here. So now someone asked me, what would you do if you were betting whether she shows up or not? Now, you also got to find out if you find a prop like that somewhere, and it could show up, especially these offshores. I don't think you're going to see it on DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, and BetRivers, the 4 biggest. But if you do see it somewhere, I've got some intel. She's not here. So maybe someone's tracking her. I don't know. But someone who I trust claims she is not here in Charlotte. So I'm going to find out. I'm not just going to be in the interview room. I'm going to be looking around in the atrium. So if there is, I'm going to be looking at my offshore apps. If there is, I'm going to be betting. And if it's close to pick 'em, I'm going to say no.
Now, you have a story you told me about an Uber driver you were dealing with.
Oh. So got picked up yesterday, but when I came in 2 days ago, this is crazy. So taking Uber, obviously, many times, and I get waiting to get picked up. Says 5 minutes. Sure enough, I see my Uber driver. You follow his trail, goes right by me, but he's on the lower level. So he figured it out. Goes by again on the lower level. So finally, I call the guy. We're now working on 10 and a half, 11, 12 minutes. He answers like on the third time. And I said, where are you? He said, well, I keep driving by and you're not there. I said, look at your app. It says level 2, 2B. So he goes, oh, okay, that's where you are. Usually I pick everyone up on the first level. Well, I found out today, my second Uber driver, it's been 2.5 months. This Uber driver told me he does it every day. So you got to be going to the airport a few times. So he keeps, I guess, going on the lower level or picks someone up on the lower level. So took me almost 20 minutes to get picked up. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'm not in that much of a hurry. Want to get over, want to get settled at the hotel. And then making some small talk to the Uber driver. I said, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm a pilot. Okay. Training, he's training other people on small aircraft. He wants to get on with some of the bigger airlines and fly. I'm like, okay, maybe the guy had a little mix up, had a rough morning. So we're getting close to the hotel. He drives by it the first time. I said, I think you just missed it. He goes, oh, okay. Drive by a second time, misses it a second time. Finally, on the third time, I'm like, I'm not taking a chance. I'm like, drop me off on the side. And that was it. So I got off. And this guy really wants to be a pilot. So I'm not going to say his name. But if I run across his name on one of the airlines that I'm taking, I'm hopping off that plane. I'm not getting on. So if he's a pilot, he's going to have trouble finding the airport that he's looking for. So usually I have great Uber experiences, no problems at all, but maybe the worst experience I've ever had. And I can't believe he's training to be a pilot.
Well, if you have a flight to Dallas, you'll probably end up in Phoenix or something like that. He's going to pass by the city and
Minneapolis. From Minneapolis. Yeah.
He's just going to go totally elsewhere.
He'll keep going. You're right. So
yeah. So anyway, all right. So last day in Charlotte, and we'll see if Belichick is there. Well, Belichick will be there. We'll see if his girlfriend is there. We'll see what kind of circus that'll be, and also we'll talk college football coming up. The Memphis Tigers, and look at their win total for the upcoming season. Also, a couple plays coming up in the next segment as you are listening to Locked On Bets. Want to tell you now about Gametime, and Gametime, it's the place. If you want to go to the game, go to Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Now, Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and a couple big series this weekend. If you're in New York, the Phillies and the Yankees hooking up at Yankee Stadium. Also at Fenway Park in Boston, the Dodgers and the Red Sox, they meet. So a lot of big matchups in Major League Baseball this weekend. And if you want to check them out, then definitely you should check out the Gametime app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We continue here on Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling with you here on this Thursday. And let's get to the blowouts for tonight.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
I understand I'm on the two-strike count right now going into this matchup, Lee, with the Aces and the Fever as they hook up in Indiana, and I am going to go with another first quarter play. That's what I like to do, and I'm going to take the Las Vegas Aces minus 1.5 at Indiana this evening. Now, a couple things. Number one, the Aces looking to avenge an 81-54 loss at Indiana a few weeks ago. Caitlin Clark was out of that game, and she's out again tonight, but I got to believe that Becky Hammon and the Aces won't forget that loss. The Aces coming off a win a few nights ago over the Dream. I just think Las Vegas is the better team, and Indiana's been so propped up with Caitlin Clark over the last year plus. They're decent, they're okay, but they're not one of the better teams. The Aces had a bad start to the season, or mediocre start, I should say, and now they're kind of back in it, playing better of late. They have Asia Wilson playing well, and one of the top players in the WNBA. So I just think Las Vegas here should be focused going on the road to Indiana. Fever off a couple losses to the Liberty. They're trying to figure it out without Caitlin Clark. I'm going to go with Las Vegas in the first quarter tonight against Indiana, Lee, as our blowout special.
Okay. Going to ride with you one more night. What's the prognosis for her return, Caitlin Clark?
I got to believe they're not going to rush her back, and, it's the wait and see because of this groin thing. Like it feels like it could be any time, she can come back for one game and get hurt again. And I think they're probably trying to tread water and seeing how far they can go. She's missed over 10 games this season due to various injuries. So it's been kind of a disaster for them. And she missed the All-Star game in Indianapolis. So it's been kind of a tough season for them. And I just think now it's the boat's kind of sinking for the Fever. So Las Vegas, I think just the better team playing better at the moment. So we're going to go with them for our WNBA play tonight. So let's go with our second blowout.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Major League Baseball, and a couple things going into this game, Lee. The Blue Jays and the Tigers beating Detroit. Big 4-game set there at Comerica Park. Blue Jays off this series win over the Yankees are on top of the American League East. Detroit still atop the American League Central. I find it interesting, kind of sidebar, that the Pirates, who had been so terrible to end the first half, they got blown out by the White Sox in 3 games at home. But then they go sweep the Tigers at home. So you kind of figure that one out. Like, how did that work? And they had Paul Skeens pitching in one of them, and he shut down Detroit. But Detroit just looked terrible in this past series. Now they go home trying to hit the reset button. First time at home since the All-Star break, and the Blue Jays on the road for the first time since the All-Star break. So what do you like here with the Blue Jays and the Tigers?
Okay, I've kind of alluded to the way I look at baseball. I break things down into 10 games. This is 162-game season. So if you break into 10-game increments, you got 16 10-game increments. I think that this Detroit team is going to start coming back and playing well. Pittsburgh does that like 2-3 times a year. They'll play out of their minds for a series. So I think that they have the pitching, think that they have the hitting. Both of these two teams virtually the same record. So Detroit is 60-43, Toronto 60-42. Toronto, as we know, took 2 of 3 from the Bronx Bombers and like to back them there. And remember, after playing Toronto, generally Toronto has a little bit of a letdown. You know, they're like the little sisters, always trying to, you know, make the playoffs, prove their point, and to beat the Bronx Bombers to show that they're relevant. Now they are facing a Detroit team that's favored, and you're saying, wow, okay, so maybe this is the time you take Toronto because they're playing so well. They've won 9 of 10. But why is the line going from minus 115 overnight to minus 125 to minus 130 in a couple spots? I think the sharps are on this. I played it early. Think there's still some value under 130. Detroit is the better team with Reese Olson pitching. 4-3 record, 271, but ERA. Let's look deeper into it. In the 63 innings pitched, he's only given up 3 home runs. So keeping the ball in the ballpark, making him play it. And on the other side, Eric Lauer, the pitcher for Toronto, in his 61 innings pitch, has given up 7 home runs. So I think that he's a slightly better pitcher. They're playing at home where they're familiar with the settings here. I'm going to look for Detroit to bounce back. I think they're going to be a play on a lot for me over the next 10 games here. Blowout special. Detroit Tigers minus the 125 against the very hot, but soon to cool off Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thought process going in, Lee, from a lot of people would be, oh, the Blue Jays beat the Yankees. Detroit's off this series sweep at the hands of Pittsburgh. But, yeah, you go back home after this poor showing, and Toronto, again, it's still a big series against Detroit, but that was a huge series against the Yankees at home. And now you're hitting the road, quick turnaround. I think that the Tigers, especially off of an early game yesterday, that they'll be better coming up tonight back at home. And it's a big series for them because they have the AL Central pretty much on a stranglehold, but you still want to stay up there and try to get the home field in the American League. You don't want to lose out on that. So I think Detroit will put it together starting tonight. Yep,
I'm on. So one other note, got a DM from a Todd in Chicago, and Todd asked me, when are you going to cover the Bears? And he said his coworkers listen every day. They like to get DMs and also emails like that. So Todd, especially for you, this one's for you tomorrow on Friday. I'll be back home in Miami. I will report on, does Jordan Hudson end up showing up for the media days here in the press conference of Bill Belichick. I'm going to do the Chicago Bears win total just for Todd and his crew.
Yeah, and I think that's a very intriguing storyline with the Bears coming up this year with Ben Johnson as the coach, see if he can be the magician to help Caleb Williams and maybe change some things around there in the NFC North with the Chicago Bears. Now, or at least coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at the Memphis Tigers and going to look at them and what they're going to do in the American Conference coming up this season. You're listening to Locked On Bets. We continue here on Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports and the American Conference. We haven't really hit on any teams there so far yet on the show. And before we get to Memphis, Lee, just I guess your impressions of what you saw and heard checking out the media day for the American Conference.
So the American Conference has a bunch of teams looking to show that they belong. And obviously Memphis tried to, buy their way into the Big 12. That didn't work out. I don't know where they came up with $250 million, but they've always been more of a basketball school. But, over the last 8-10 years, consistent 8, 9, 10, and sometimes 11 game winner in the regular season. So I think they feel that they belong at the next level. There's some other teams that have been knocking on the door and much improved, Tulane. And then there's, after that, a lot of teams that have a lot to prove. So I think you're going to see one or more of these teams try to get to the next level. I actually think it's going to be tough for them. I think this is going to be a year that the American is not going to be able or have much of a shot to get to the college football playoffs. So I'm going to look at a couple other conferences. So they've got some exciting quarterbacks, coming in to some of these teams. A lot of transfers, a lot of kids going out, a lot of kids coming in. So you got to pay attention to that. But I think it's going to be really tough for the American Conference to be relevant this year. I think that actually they're going to be down. So got a lot of high scoring, not much defense. But I think maybe some other conferences like the Sun Belt, we might see a team from that conference finally get into the college football playoff. So I'm not buying all the hype this year in the American.
All right, so let's get to the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Inadvertently wore Memphis colors today. I didn't realize it, but I guess, hey, is what it is. So the Tigers, back-to-back 10-plus win seasons, and it's been a while since Mike Norvell left the Florida State, but Ryan Silverfield, he's done a good job to keep Memphis up. But what do you think, Lee, with Memphis Tigers this season?
So here's what's interesting. They win a lot of games, but in Silverberg, every single year that he's been there, I think this is his 5th year, so all 4 years, is that a losing record as a home favorite? You would think they'd blow people out, but they haven't. So that's a problem. They are winning a lot of these games at home, but not covering. Last year, they had 8 home games. And you have 8 home games. Should be able to get to a nice bowl. And they ended up winning 11 games. Good season. This year, only 6 home games. They have to play Arkansas, which I think they're going to have a real tough time with matching up here. And what do they have coming back? Well, they lost 35 seniors. I don't know. I can't remember a time where I've seen a team lose so many players. In fact, projected starters, they're projecting 14 transfers will be starting and only 2 returning starters from their lineup from last year that started. So it's going to take them a few weeks, I think, to get going. They could have a tough time early in the season, maybe at Troy. They trip up there. So they have a new quarterback coming in, Brendan Lewis. He originally started at Colorado. Then he moved to Nevada last year. It wasn't like he made Nevada very good. They were 3-9. He was running for his life. He might be running for his life again, pretty much all brand new offensive line also. Lost their top running back, their receivers, a lot of transfers coming in there from smaller schools. Are hoping to hit on some guys, but total here is 8.5. I just think this is going to be that down year for Ryan Silverberg here as they hit the road and going to be playing some teams with some quarterbacks that can do some damage to their secondary. So we're going to go under 8.5 wins for the Memphis Tigers, who tried to buy their way into the Big 12. We're going to go with a level 2 lock.
Yeah, and this Memphis team, you wonder if they're going to taper off sooner or later, Lee. And look, again, the Troy matchup early in the season, that's not going to be easy. Arkansas, and then even getting into into the American, FAU on the road, at UAB with Dilfer. I mean, honestly, I don't think that the American is that tough for them. But again, when you said all these new players, maybe things will go a little sideways.
This might be the year. It might take him a year to get things going here. So quarterback, he's a runner. Silverberg's usually used to a throwing quarterback, and they're going to have to change the offense. They're going to have to do some tweaks here if they're going to be successful. And it might take them, with 14 projected new starters and many more transfers as backups, might take them 4 or 5 weeks to start gelling, and might be too late.
Yeah, so the American, we'll see how it turns out. They also don't play UTSA this year. They got Tulane at home. So, again, it should be an interesting season for the Tigers. Before we get out of here today, Lee, what is going on with Paramount Sports?
Well, having bang up start to so many sports, and baseball's going great. You want to hop on board? 10 days, $50. We're 7-3 on the free picks here for you this week. Someone emailed me and asked how things going on your picks for your clients. Well, even better. So you want to hop on board? 10 days, $50. We will text you the plays every single day. It comes out to $5 a day. You're going to get on average 3 selections per day. You want to get our player props. Those have been going well too. 10 days, $50, or get a combo pack. You're going to get 6 to 7 plays per day on our baseball selections and our player props, just $77. It's not going to be up too much longer, so take advantage of that. Another UFC card coming. That's going to be 7 selections there. It's going to be $37. We won 6 of the 7 last week for you. Hit a plus 475 underdog. We won 8 of the last 9 cards. So it's an early one Saturday. Starts at 12 noon. So don't wait until Saturday. I always get 2 or 3 stragglers. They email me, hey, it's the big fight going off. They email me at 6, 7, 8 o'clock. I'm like, card's almost over. So you want to get involved with that. 7 selections, $37, ParamountSports.com. And football, it's our bread and butter. Season starts 1 week from today. Just $1,997. One place, ParamountSports.com, or call us 800-400-9741. And one last note, if you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, also it's on many other different ways. You can get it on Apple, Spotify. There's new different ways to listen every single day. Please go to YouTube and subscribe for us. And my way of saying thank you, we're going to announce tomorrow 2 winners. I'm going to give away 2 UFC cards for free, baseball selections for 10 days, and also player props in baseball for 10 days. 4 winners are going to be drawn. This isn't going to be one of those contests where there's 2,000-3,000 people. We're going to draw from a hat. So you got a real shot to win. So please go to YouTube and like and subscribe. And also, after you've done it, send us a picture, DM through Twitter at Paramount Sports or at Rogers Picks, and can also email me that way also if you don't have Twitter or X, psports@bellsouth.net.
And, looking forward to the end of the week, because next week we got football. We do have the Hall of Fame game next Thursday, and then the preseason will begin for the NFL. So we'll have football every weekend, pretty much beginning next weekend. So we'll be good to go. And then college football will start up in late August, and we'll be rocking and rolling going through the fall. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. And again, we appreciate you tuning in to the Thursday edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.